Alright, hello everyone. I'm here with another super famous guy, Simon Nielsen. Just for a little bit of an introduction, Simon has 2 GP wins with 8 top 8s, and his best Pro Tour finish is 10th place at Pro Tour Eldritch Moon 2016. And he also kind of likes to play maybe these under the radar strategies, not necessarily maybe the tier 1 decks, he just likes to play around with his own decks and stuff, which kind of contradicts with the fact that you actually back-to-back GP finals with Hogak. You came in 2nd and then you won the following week or whatever. How are you going? How it's going, man?
Well, it's going great. Actually, I just won a PDQ a couple hours ago.
Oh, really? Congrats, man. Yeah. I had no idea. What did you play with?
Red Black Sacrifice in Historic.
Oh, is it the one with Croxa?
No. Just the Mayhem Devil Cat Oven.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Did you try the Croxa one?
Yeah, we did actually, and it had an issue where it was kind of hard to flashback Croxa with the mana. I'm not even playing Chandra or anything. It's just. Well, you mean if I played the Dreadhorde Arcanist version?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a completely different deck, and I think not very good.
Yeah, I had problems against that deck because I just didn't know how to cyber against that deck. They just play Young Pyromancer main deck, so I just boarded in Languish and stuff, and then they just boarded out of Pyromancer and the deck just became removal, discard, and Croxas, and I had this Languish in my hand, and it should have just been a Narset or something. Regardless, I don't really know where to start, so maybe we should start with how you got into the pro scene and stuff. Was it maybe hard at the beginning with the PTQs and everything? Just tell us your story if you can.
Yeah, so getting into the pro scene was actually very much just I started playing in the same store as Martin Müller, who I'm sure a lot of you know, best Danish Magic player ever, and,
who is in the competition?
Nielsen, I think, is the second best, I would say. And then we have Sven Gertsen in the old days. He taught me PT Prague back in early 2000s. But yeah, I played in the same store as Müller, so we played a lot together, and he would just play a ton of Magic Online while I was watching over Skype, and we'd just have a lot of conversations about it. And when he qualified for his first Pro Tour, winning a PDQ for Pro Tour Born of the Gods, I was really eager to follow in his footsteps. So he kept he top 25 that PT to qualify for the next one. They got silver, so I already started to get on the train from there. And I followed him when I won a double VMCQ qualifier for the World Magic Cup when we played together in 2014, which is when we won the World Magic Cup together. So that's when I got my first PC invite and kind of started to play alongside him. And from there, I think I've gotten pretty lucky because, first of all, I got really lucky to win that WMCQ. It's just, I played in my own FNM deck, red-green beatdown-ish.
I actually didn't mention that when I introduced you. You also are a World Magicap champion, is that right?
I am indeed, yeah.
I apologize for missing that out, that's important.
Yeah, it's kind of back then it used to be the whole big thing where I was, the guy in the red tie, and I was Mr. Daneblast and such. And since then, I've just had enough accomplishments of my own that I just kind of fallen in on the backside. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that works. But yeah, they kept chaining inwards. Just got enough points to get silver, and having to win, having to submit a GP right before I was about to fall off the train, and so everything just worked out. And I haven't actually missed a PT since then, which is the first PT in 2015. Fatal Forge was my first one. So I think I've gotten quite fortunate in that regard, and also because I was following Müller, who was already, already had started his career. I just got to jump with the team that he was on. So he got dragged into team what we used to know of as Eureka, together with.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, you were also on there at some point, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
But it was on Mint Card that we've played together.
Yeah, we tested together for one Pro Tour or maybe 2 Pro Tours or whatever with MTG Mint Card 2 years ago, but I don't think I've ever was part of Eureka. I think they like asked me to join a team, and then it like kind of disappeared basically.
Oh right, yeah. It only like lasted for a couple years, I think, maybe not even. But it was kind of incredible. Like for my first PT, I was playtesting with like Joel Larson. Was kind of a big deal, and then you just kind of got into that crew as you know, as somewhat of a wild card, but just Martin was like, hey, I have this friend who wants to join, and then I just got that in, and that's helped me a ton. Like just being able to play with like really good European players has just like sharpened my game a lot. I credit Joel a lot for like helping me build a good limited game, because that's something I really used to suck at, but now I think I'm like okay-ish at draft.
You mentioned a little bit, you know, Martin Miller, Tomasz and Watson. They're actually, during the team series, you actually formed like a full Danish team, if not, I'm not mistaken. There was also like Michael Bondi, Christopher Larsen and stuff. Denmark is kind of like a small country, I think, but you did have like a bunch of people on the Pro Tour. Can you just say something about like the Danish community? Are there like a lot of people trying? You know, how did that all happen that you just have so many good players?
Yeah, I think that we're quite good at because we are so small, like everyone knows each other.
Yeah, it's the same in Czech.
Yeah, there's like this special, you know, national support for like we have this squad going to the PT now. Especially like before we just like had this, you know, like giant troop at every PT. It was kind of like, okay, we have these 3 people going, so like, what can we do to help them out? That's been a little bit of it. I think in like from what I can say for my store specifically, which is also where Oscar Christensen went to, we've always been like quite good at kind of like pacing each other and like working together and giving feedback. Like for competitive purposes, it's been like, you know, a quite competitive environment. Just when we were playing casually as well. So for us, I think that has really helped. That we just like, you know, started early with like shaping our competitive mindset. But I think in general, like we're quite close. We also have like a Danish Discord, for instance, that just like keeps breaking Pioneer, where people just like talk together.
Well, no one really cares about Pioneer, to be fair.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So that's why no one knows.
I mentioned briefly at the beginning that you're like the guy that maybe necessarily doesn't always play the best deck, or at least you like try to not play it. What are the reasons? Are you just like trying to attack from a different angle because you might necessarily not feel as comfortable in playing mirrors and stuff? Or, you know, can you just like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think the main reason has to be like because I'm hipster. it's
just your personality.
Yeah. I mean, I've always like wanted to be different, so just like for the sake of being different, which like that's just not.
I can definitely relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's taken me a while to like kind of like get out of that mentality, because the thing is that like, if that's the root of the problem, but you don't really see that, you just tell yourself that, oh, it's because I'm not good enough at playing mirrors, or oh, I think this deck is boring or something. So you just like tell yourself all these lies to avoid playing, you know, what is just obviously going to be better for you. So that's taken me a while to get over, and I'm still not quite over it. I blame Uro for that a lot, that I've kind of having a backfall here with here in last year, because I ended up like kind of getting over it. GP Utrecht in like 2017, I was playing Mounted Vehicles. It was the most popular deck in that format, and that was the first time I ever played a tier 1 deck at a GP. And after the tournament, I was like, that was really fun. Like I played, you know, 6 mirror matches, but it was great. It was like very, you know, intricate magic and exciting. And I was kind of like, why have I been avoiding this all this time? But then here during the COVID times, and because of Uro, like I just like really dislike the kind of games that Uro play. I don't really like these, you know, grindy, attrition-y, like drawn out games where you have a bunch of like really powerful cards that you just like keep playing and like see whose powerful cards come over the top. That's the sort of Magic that I don't like as much as other parts of Magic. So I found actually that because we're all isolated and I don't have, you know, like the social part of Magic to look forward to, like all the friends and such, that I found it really hard to motivate myself to test for events. And specifically it was because I was grinding, you know, like banned control mirrors. And I just realized that I'm just gonna playtest more if I don't play Uro, because then I just actively can't stop playing. If, you know, I played a bunch of the Parallax engine decks leading up to this event, for instance, where I just wouldn't have played as many games if I decided to log in on Sultai.
Oh, that makes sense. You said that you maybe not playing as much, but you just want to PTQ, and I also see you like post quite often on Twitter that you like maybe played in a tournament, you just like post all these deck lists and stuff. So how much are you like focused on Magic? Is it maybe because of Corona? You know, we had this thing with MPL that like a lot of the people like you and me just kind of got screwed. How is it? Yeah, how is it with you and Magic right now? You know, are you gonna like keep trying to maybe qualify for the arena tournaments? You know, just like talk about that if you can.
Yeah, so when I say I haven't been playing that much, I still try to play quite a few tournaments, but I just haven't practiced as much for them as I usually do. Like usually it's Magic in like a ton of hours per day, and it's been hard for me to like play that much. These days, usually I end up just going in like, okay, well I have a day before the tournament and I'll play test now. But I do a ton of, like, I have a Discord group, a team now called Team Swan MTG by Sam Rolfe. Christoph Prince is the recent like PT finals winner. He was also from that squad. And we've been doing a lot of good work and testing, so I'm always like in tune with like thinking about the meta and such. And I think I've come a long way, just like gotten a much better intuition and theory for the game than I used to have. So I think I've gotten a lot better at shooting decks and such, and just like thinking about it, so that I don't actually need to play that much to have the edge that I used to have. Because usually I just had to play a ton of Magic to make up for the fact that I wasn't very good. Like now it's now I can get by with a lot less playtime.
I actually made an interview with Tomasz. He just stopped for the Zendikar Championship a couple of weeks back, and he mentioned you as like one of the people who helped him the most with his like preparation and stuff. How did that like relationship happen? It's just like kind of interesting to me. You know, he's from Czech Republic, same as me. I didn't actually know him before he made that finish, but you know, he's from my country, so obviously I wanted to talk to him, and he mentioned you. So how did that all happen?
Yes, did he mention the mastermind to you as well?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because that's like the coaching program that I've done. It was built by Travis Wu, where...
that's funny, I just finished an interview with Travis Wu.
Oh, cool. Yeah, okay, so it's all coming
it's all connected.
Here. But yeah, that's been like a... that's been a business he's been running for quite a few years. It's actually going to end here at the end of 2020, where... basically people can buy a subscription to get coaches, or to get like in a group where there are coaches that do like a weekly call.
I mean, Travis just like kind of explained all of it.
Oh, he explained all of it? Oh, that's
yeah,
okay.
So...
Yeah, it's just in case people didn't watch that. But regardless, like Thomas was part of this group, and so he would get some feedback on like deck list for this Czech league that he was going to play, which is how he ended up qualifying for the Pro Tour. And so we've been like chatting about that and testing a bit for that. And so when he qualified, he really wanted to like test with me, like be on my team. But I wasn't quite sure if I could actually let him, since I was not the one making the decisions, and we wanted to keep like a tight squad. But it actually ended up working out in that some people broke to other teams where it's like, okay, now we're actually too few. We need people, and we have Tomasz plus the 2 people he had found to test with to just like fill those 3 spots. And we've actually been like very happy with these 3 new additions. So it's kind of interesting in the way where like sometimes the main motives of a team isn't actually like the platinum level players, like the MPL level players. It's just as much the, you know, very hungry challengers who just, you know, want to do well, because those are the ones who work a lot. So if you combine that with people who have experience, like that's kind of the sweet spot. Because if you just have very hungry people, they can easily be like misled because they lack experience with tournament preparation. So, but if you just have, you know, platinum level players, there's also a chance that they just don't put in enough work.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
As I would do, because I did not test very much for the last PT.
Did you do badly? I actually have no idea.
I got 2 buys, if that's...
All right, that answers the question. Yeah. You don't really have to go further than that. I mentioned it already, the fact that you went back-to-back finals with Hogak, and that's gonna be like pretty much like one of my last questions, so I think that's like super interesting. You know, before that, I always like perceived you as like this guy who just like always does his own thing. And then you just like, you made finals with Hogak. I was like, oh wow, well, I guess he just like didn't find anything or whatever. And then the following week or maybe 2 weeks after that, I actually don't know, you won the GP. So you actually had to like probably play with the deck a lot and like master it. Or did you just get lucky? Like, can you just like talk about a streak a little bit?
Yeah, so usually I'm quite humble, but I think I am usually like quite good at playing Hogak. So the thing is that it's not that I'm necessarily just want to be different all the time, but oftentimes the decks that are popular are not necessarily my jam. Like, I don't like mid-range decks. The things I really like are decks that have a lot of sequencing in like the short game, and like tries to play not the many turns, but have a ton of decisions in those turns. Because I'm not very good at like the strategic long game planning, but I'm quite good at the like combat math and like min-maxing some small decisions in sequencing in the early game. So Hogak is just exactly my playstyle, and it's just very fortunate that it is as broken as it is. But if it was somehow like worse, it's hard to imagine that reality. If it was like a tier 2 deck or something, I might have still played it, and then you would have been like, oh, Simon just plays his own brew. But it just happened that it was like very, very good. Actually, when Alta of the Menchia got banned, that was the one that got banned. No, Bridge from Below got banned. Like at the moment that card got banned, I knew that I was gonna play Hogak at the Pro Tour following, because they was just okay. Well, did not ban the right card, and this deck is still bonkers. And so I just spent a bunch of time testing it. But at the PT, I still wasn't that proficient with it. I learned a lot more at the PT, also like glancing from what other teams did. So I think my version was like quite well tuned, despite I played like 8 1-ups in Las Vegas just kind of for fun. But the understanding that led to that decision, I think was actually like quite well grounded.
So like for people that maybe like want to improve with this type of strategy, I mean, I'm probably one of those people. As you said, I'm the exact opposite of yours. I actually like these like long mid-range games and stuff, just like know what's like important in the long game and just like make your plan for that or whatever, and just like try to get this like extra card or whatever. I'm that type of a guy, but you're not. What were like the things that you really should have looked out for the Hogak mirrors and stuff? Because like before you said all of these things, I just assumed that the one player just like not draws the other one, but that might have necessarily not been the case, or maybe you just played like a different sideboard card that like changed a lot of things. Can you like maybe enlighten us?
I love Hogak mirrors. They're so intricate, because the thing is that they're very combat centric, and so you like kind of find this pattern where you have to like keep yourself alive to their haste attack while still presenting lethal as quickly as possible. So that sort of like math is really nice. So as a tip for people to improve in that sort of thing, it's kind of hard to distill into a few sentences. Part of it is like just being like trying to be aware of all your options, and sometimes the options are like more than you might see, and think about them all the time, because I might just tank about which land to play on turn 1 quite often. Because even though that might seem obvious, it's just, well, sometimes it's obvious, and most of the time it doesn't matter. But the times it does matter, it can actually like decide a game sometimes even. And you don't know like which game is the one where the land problem turn 1 decides the game or not. So it's about always thinking about the small things, especially in the early turns, because that's where people kind of take things for granted. And then there's a thing of like trying to imagine what the opponent is going to do on their next turn and what your next turn is going to look like as well, and take that into consideration. Is something I also try and do a lot. So I think I'm pretty good at like setting up 2-turn lethals type scenarios, where I think about, okay, well, I do this now, then my opponent can do this or that, but no matter what they do, I still have lethal the next turn because I do this now.
Do you take these skills to like limited as well? Because in limited, obviously, in like the perfect hindsight or whatever, you should like kinda, if you're a pro, you should like know all the strategies and stuff, and you have kind of like in pick order or whatever, and you should be like taking the right pick. But that's not how it usually ends up going. You see people like Craig Vesco always being white. You always see Wafutapa being in blue-black, and stuff like that. So like people might think to themselves that they are doing like the right pick, but people just have preferences and stuff. Does it translate to limited for you as well? Like, do you prefer these type of strategies, or like how is it with you on limited?
Yeah, I think so. I think I definitely prefer to be like a more aggressively slanted creature deck than a grindier control deck. But It depends. I think like usually one of the first whenever there's a new set, the first draft I do is always like some clunky Simic bad deck where like I just always fall into that trap. I don't know how. It's like no removal, just all 5-drops.
I've been there.
At some point that might also be part of my nature. But in general, I try and slant a bit more towards that. Also the way I play the games, because I still don't. Like I hear people say a lot, like you have to have a plan for the game, like even when you play stuff like just your turn 2, and that's like really what I do. But what I do a lot is like, well, I have a plan for what's going to happen next turn, and I try and set these things up. So that's it affects my play as well, and then also in the strategies I decide to draft, because I would way rather be the cyber deck that's an aggressive deck that can like steal games, rather than like this. Mid-rangey deck where you have to like decide whether you're the aggressor or the control player like all the time during the game.
So you just like want to know I am the aggressor, or just like figure out the best way to play.
That definitely helps. Also like I am the control. Like I can also draft decks like that.
Oh, I see.
Like,
so it goes both ways.
Yeah, because it's also I don't have to make the strategic decision because I know that I'm gonna win with this mass manipulation. I had a PT draft at some point where I had 2 mass manipulations. And I just knew, like, from the moment I got the second one, I knew what my deck was going to look like and what my plan was going to be, and like which cards to prioritize. And I ended up freeing that draft. And that was like, not an aggressive deck at all.
I see. That's interesting. It's like very interesting to see that different people just have like different strengths and stuff. Where do you think that comes from? Like, do you just think that it's like part of your personality or whatever? I'm trying to starting to think so. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. It might be like a mix of both like personality and the way you learn the game, because the personality kind of feeds into your initial approach to the game, and then like that's the that's the part of the game you strengthen more because that's what you focus more on because it lands up well with you. So it's probably both. But yeah, that is a really interesting question. It might also just have something to do with like brain types, like not necessarily personality, but just like maybe the way you think about a math problem reflects in the way that you reflect about a Magic game.
Oh, well, awesome. It was great talking to you. If you still have like things to say, obviously you can, but I've run out of things that I wanted to ask about.
Yeah, can I plug something?
You can do anything you want.
So we have a project coming up. I mentioned the Mastermind, which is ending, but we're actually starting a new thing called MTG Insider, which is also a coaching subscription thing, and it should be it's supposed to going to be like a lot more smooth and well managed. So we'll see how that goes, but that's gonna start in New Year's. And yeah, if you want to have more info on that, I'm gonna definitely post some stuff on it on my Twitter at mrchecklistcard. I should really find a new Twitter name instead of this obscure joke with Rich Hagon that I had like ages ago. That's a story for another day. But, anyway, you can follow me there. Also, just you can search like Sleep In Simon Nielsen. You will find me as well.
Awesome, Simon. It was fun. Thanks for talking to me. I hope you don't sleep during your next tournament.
Well, I actually slept through my last arena open last weekend. I checked it stopped at 5 p.m. and I woke up at 6 p.m. So
that sucks. Maybe like I was about to end, but maybe we should talk about it a little bit more. Simon is like known for the fact. I mean, even his like Twitter handle is Sleep In Simon. So I don't actually know how many times it happened, but you definitely have problems with like being on time and just like not forgetting stuff and stuff like that. So can you maybe talk about it?
Specifically, I won a GP after missing the first round of day 2 because I slept in. That's like a pretty rare thing to have happened.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got the name. But yeah, I am definitely not the best at waking up.
Do you just like not hear the alarm, or like you just don't?
Yeah, sometimes. I actually got a new app that is like wonderful called Alarmy. Also, shout out to anyone who's have a hard time waking up. Alarmy is perfect. It's like it's just like very loud. You can't shut it off until you can, for instance, set it to like you have to solve a math problem, like just a simple equation, before the alarm shuts off, or you have to take a picture of like your bathroom, so you have to actually get out of bed before the alarm shuts off. Yeah, wow. Very smart.
All right. You know, if you guys like the video, please click on the like and subscribe button. Thank you, Simon, and see you next time.